We have a very exciting match coming up here for you guys. MC against Thorazane. Artosis, are you getting the nerd tingles going down your spine?
I believe we're actually doing SjoW vs. July first.
Oh, we're doing SjoW vs. July first. I'm sorry. Tasteless dropped
You're like
the ball.
spoiling the
Where's
extra
my
matches
time
later.
machine?
Yeah.
Well, look, we got this great match coming up. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, SjoW vs. July, man.
Yeah.
That's like a sick match. SjoW has been playing so well. I watched some of his games yesterday.
He's very talented.
Yeah, he really, really is. He's one of these players that you don't really think of as much as the others, but definitely has a shot at winning. Of course, July Zerg, I don't really need to explain him to you
Well, we
guys,
already saw him in action. He's staying with his standard July Zerg style, one where he does a lot of aggression, usually builds up economically, then does some kind of, not always an all-in, it was in the second game we saw today, but generally speaking, just hammers away until he eventually KOs his opponent.
That's it, man. He runs around you and attacks you and doesn't
Runs
attack
circles
you. He
around
just
you.
does what he wants, man.
Yeah.
He mixes it up like a crazy person. Now, can SjoW deal with that?
I think he can. I think it's going to be pretty tough.
I think it is going to be tough. If you look at Europe as a whole, how many great Zergs they have? Maybe 5 or 6. And does anyone play like July Zerg? No, he is a one-of-a-kind guy. Very hard to practice for.
And another thing to keep in mind is that July Zerg is one of these players where he has so much live LAN experience, not just in Korea, but overseas as well, as we can already see here, as well as in his history. That to have him out here now, I don't think he has any reason to be afraid in the situation or any reason to be distracted.
July Zerg is not afraid of anyone
No,
or anything.
he's been in front of so many audiences of this magnitude that it's going to be a tough match. It might be a little bit one-sided. We will see.
I don't know. I think SjoW definitely has a chance to take out July Zerg. He's not actually invincible, as some players have shown us, such as Eddie Pro.
None of the Koreans have turned out to be invincible.
No.
As the non-Korean scene, basically what most of our audience is here, they're down here. They're really representing quite well, and the Koreans, they're having to put up a good fight.
They have, man. It's pretty close between the Koreans and non-Koreans so far. Anything could happen.
I don't know. We're waiting for our players to invite us into the game. Again, I am Tasteless. With me is Artosis. We're from Seoul, Korea, casters of the GSL. You can see more of us at gomtv.net. Is anybody in the audience ever watching GSL out there? So again, we're just going to kind of sit tight. We've both been commentating Starcraft, have been professional gamers for a very long time, playing professionally for over a decade now. And commentating for, 7 years and 6 for you now?
Something like
that. It's been a long time. I kind of stopped keeping track at this point in time. But, as soon as, the referees, have the players ready and they make the games, we're going to get into this. What have been your favorite matches that you've casted thus far, Artosis?
I really liked that In Control versus Major match. Both very close friends of mine, and I thought that game, too, was absolutely amazing by both players. So really enjoyed that one.
I was really impressed with that game, especially game number 2. By the way, guys, please start plugging us on Twitter, Facebook, upvote us on Reddit.
Yeah, not just in our Starcraft. I know a lot of you guys are from there. It's a great place. We love it. But also go to our gaming. Want to take that over. They can stop talking about Witcher, start talking about StarCraft 2. And, of course, hashtag the MLG on Twitter. That's Shift and 3, then MLG, and then say whatever you want. But keep doing it. We want this thing trending across the whole world.
Yes, spread the word. Please, 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 hashtag GSL. I mean, rather MLG. Well, you can hashtag GSL too, but MLG. I'm getting my events swapped here. And spread the word. We want this to become a trending topic. We want to spread the growth of esports. So definitely do that for us. We are now getting put inside the games here. I am, at least. We're waiting on our toasts to be put in there. But, it's a real treat to be down here. A decade ago when I went to esports events in the United States, it was a totally different thing. It was underground. It was definitely not mainstream. It's so interesting to see, how things have changed here today. We're still waiting on, I believe, on July Zerg to join. So, guys, just sit tight, and we will have this done soon. Don't forget to check out the other games down here, Black Ops and Halo. It's been a blast seeing those games as well. It's so cool to see these different genres of esports taking over. And also to see, for instance, in StarCraft, with StarCraft, it's not just StarCraft players that are seeing some success. We're seeing Dawn of War players, Warcraft 3 players. It's pretty cool, man.
Yes, it certainly is. To have one RTS that combines them all, it's a beautiful thing.
Super RTS.
Yeah, man. It's
pretty excellent. All right, so we're just sitting here waiting Hopefully, July Zerg will be in there. A lot of these players, they have to make sure that their settings are perfect. You can't control a computer here without actually, having everything just like it is when you're training at home. For those of you guys who are unfamiliar with, the esports scene in Korea, they actually have training houses where they play. Maybe a dozen or more players live there. They grind out strategies. They talk about the game, and it's one of the reasons why historically in RTS games, Koreans have been the most dominant force. However, as esports continues to expand and grow, we're seeing a lot of the Western players start to catch up here.
Yeah, no, and they're even forming houses. In fact, Sweden has one formed by TLO. So we see there is SjoW. He is ready to go, and July Zerg has joined the game and said that he is ready as well, Tasteless.
All right, guys, I want you to make more noise than we've ever had in this convention hall right now while we get this game going. This is July Zerg against SjoW here at the MLG. The countdown's begun. The game will be loading, and we're going to throw that up on screen for you guys to enjoy. So it's going to be a Terran versus Zerg. This is a great matchup. Kind of the classic Starcraft matchup I think most people think of.
Yeah, in Starcraft 1, I think everyone agreed that TVZ was the most exciting, coolest matchup. And it's quite similar in this game, Tasteless. It's a lot about timing pushes, a lot about Marine Siege Tank. But of course, Zerg has changed around quite a bit. July not really having a problem switching it up, though.
No, not at all. Over here, we have our Terran player at the bottom, SjoW. And over here at the left, we have July Zerg, the God of War, Golden Mouse holder. And I think this is going to be pretty crazy. Note these starting locations here. The Overlord at pretty close distance to the Terran base here. He can wane in here, peek at the hatchery, and he can then zip out if SjoW does not check for it.
Yeah, he's going to want to send an SCV out to check if he's there. Of course, this is the MLG Shattered Temple, which means no close spawns because we like fair, fun games.
Yeah, it's very difficult to actually have a fair game like that. Now, notice that. See, July Zerg peeks. The Overlord was not spotted, and he turns around. I'm a bit shocked, Artosis.
Yeah, SjoW not even scouting in his own base right now.
And sit tight, guys. We're going to have to be busy, as this is, of course, done over the internet. So, anyways, we're in this game. Barracks first. And, SjoW did not scout that Overlord.
No, he did not. But
I'm a bit shocked by that.
We'll have to see when he actually likes to scout. Sometimes SjoW does not scout very quickly. He is kind of on his own in that style. And, in fact, it looks Tasteless like he is going to do 2 barracks. Definitely going to put some pressure on. But he has to find out where July is first. Whenever
I think of any of our GSL players, I always think of Nada when I see this build. He loves it. Now, a lot of people see this and think, oh, he's going to do some type of aggressive attack that should end the game. At least in the case of Nada, when we've seen him do it, they tend to make, or he tends rather, to make an expansion over here as he applies pressure. I'm curious to see if SjoW will do the same. We've also seen variations of this strategy where the Terran player sends the vast majority of his SCVs towards the Zerg's base, makes a bunker, and tries to destroy the hatchery.
Of course, the SCV battle cry in that case, Tasteless, if it's most of them, is bit by bit.
It's bit by bit prime, yes. Yeah. So, he now knows where his opponent is. He did see the spawning pool, as well as all 3 drones mining at the Vespian gas geyser. So, getting quick speed Zerglings is certainly an option. SjoW now making a bunker.
And that's going to force a lot of drones to pull off, but July only sending 1 for now, 3 more on the way. And that's going to at least chase the SCV away. And he's got to take this very seriously, Tasteless. He's still mining gas, even though speed has started, making a lot of Zerglings. And when these Marines actually come, he's making 10 Zerglings, so I think he might be fine.
I think this Terran should probably turn around. Perhaps he just wants to take out this Overlord, but Zerglings are already out in a bunker on the way, and I feel like SjoW's timing is somewhat off here.
Yeah, it does seem that way, Tasteless. Those 3 Marines with their stutter step doing pretty good, but there are too many Zerglings here, and July Zerg looks like he may put an end to this rush before it even really got started. SjoW just losing a lot of Marines and not doing very much with it.
You know, the problem is if you try to commit to aggression in a situation like this, you don't get to actually make the command center on the low ground and expand. Generally speaking, we see the players make a bunker, pressure the guy, and then turn around. And in this case, even as Marines in the middle of the map, I'm dumbfounded.
Well, he thought he could hide there, but there's an Overlord just watching.
Being vigilant.
Tattling on those Marines for hiding there, and they are cleaned up. July, Baneling Nest.
Baneling
well,
Nest.
That's July for you. And if we take a look at SjoW's choke, he does have a depot in it, so that is the weak point. That is where July is going to want a Baneling bust. And this is the great thing about July, Tasteless. You actually, if he smells blood, he is a shark. If there is blood in the water, if he's like, oh, I killed 3 Marines that I shouldn't, he may just go and try to kill you.
Yeah, he may very well. Looks like he's probably going to morph some Banelings down here. Bust the entrance. I think he senses the weakness in SjoW.
Oh,
now, SjoW,
no.
This actually is
he's
bizarre.
So dead, man.
I can't believe he's even moving out.
Yeah, he is moving out. It looks like he's going to try to sneak around. The Overlord will see that. He doesn't realize there's an Overlord there. July will be able to easily kill those Marines.
I think July is going to look at that and say, oh, I'll take that. And he's going to move out now. SjoW. You should not do this if you see your opponent with Zergling speed. Oh, my God.
July Zerg showing SjoW why he shouldn't have done that, surrounding those Marines and just ruining them in seconds.
And guess what, Artosis? It's not done yet. Guess what?
Oh,
Banelings are now coming up.
And I don't think he can hold this, Tasteless. Going to go right for that. Oh, and he's going to bust down that bunker. In come the Speedlings, and SjoW, I don't know if he can live through this, Tasteless.
And, all these Zerglings doing so much damage, taking out these SCVs. There are more Zerglings pulling up over here. It looks like SjoW he will, in fact, manage to hold this off, but, at what cost? If we look at the number of workers, it's 13 to 14 here. So July Zerg actually is committing a little bit here with the number of Zerglings he's making. The barracks here are a little bit harder to destroy with Banelings compared to the depot.
That's right, but SjoW has to stay in his base for a while. Probably should tech up to a siege tank because no other way he's getting out. And July Zerg has full map control. Even though he's not very high on drones, he can just sit there and make nothing but drones for a while because SjoW he does not have anything that he can get aggressive with.
All right, so he takes out the gold rocks. SjoW did survive that. And as you could see, actually placing several structures over here as he does not want to let anything through. That's the difficult thing about July Zerg is he's sort of unpredictable. Generally speaking, when we see July Zerg play, we'd probably guess a second Baneling bust would come or he'd be teching to something else. But in this case, it looks like he's going to go ahead and stick with droning up, building up an economy.
Get some queens out there and just be totally okay with his economy, as you said. And ooh, SjoW, he is actually trying to come back hardcore. Tasteless. This is so smart.
Oh,
double
I love
starport.
It. This is smart.
Yeah,
this is very unorthodox.
When you get behind like SjoW got, you have to do something wild, and just taking his expansion is not wild, Tasteless. This is a great choice, though. I think for sure we are going to see 2-port Banshee, and he might just wait for a little bit. He's got some Marines around his base to stop any scouting Overlords. Yes, 2 tech labs going down, and SjoW is looking like he's going to make a bunch of Banshees. Hopefully, for his sake, though, he doesn't just show them right away.
Yeah, if you get about 4 Banshees, it can be a little bit too difficult for the Zerg to kind of respond in time. 2 alone is enough for Queens with Transfusion to sort of deal with and respond and reinforce with more Queens with Transfusion. Now the expansion will be laid. And I got to give SjoW credit. His start was a little bit sloppy, but his reaction now that he's a bit behind is looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's such a great response, Tasteless. And oh, July Zerg, if we look in his main base, we have, look at that, a Roachhorn and another Baneling nest. Because we actually talked about this earlier in the tournament.
Sometimes this happens. Even the best make mistakes.
Every now and then you do something really weird, and then you get into normal game mode, and you're like, okay, now I get the Baneling nest.
He caught it. He realized he was making a mistake.
And with that Roachhorn going up, no more Queens are being made right now, no layer being made. No evolution chamber being made. These Banshees are going to be deadly Tasteless, but he's going with just the first 2. Should be able to take these Queens out, though.
All right, here we go. July Zerg just now realizes what's going on with 2 Banshees. That must mean 2 starports. Takes the Queen out, and he can start firing down drones so easily here.
This is July Zerg coming up with his second Queen, but the second Queen off creep. The Banshees could take that out, or they could run by and attack more drones, but they are going to take out that Queen. He's got to run that one away, and he does.
Beautiful.
Very nice pull back there, and, well, there's another Queen making, but only 1. And are more Banshees on the way, Tasteless? No, he's been supply blocked this entire time.
That is a disaster because the amount of damage he's inflicting right now.
If he had not been supply blocked, then he would already have those other 2 Banshees. That would have been a win.
But, you got to do everything perfectly in a game of StarCraft. It's not just, having the right idea. It's about executing it as well.
and that Banshee still being a huge pain. A 16-kill Banshee, a 17-kill Banshee, and it just goes up and up, Tasteless.
It's pretty brutal. This Banshee remains over here, and this is the problem is when a queen has to walk off of creep, as you can see, it's very slow. It speeds up once being on the creep, like all other Zerg units. Now, note this, though, and I didn't really get a chance to give this much attention, my apologies. He was mining from the gold base for some time here.
Yeah, and that's going to give him an insane economy. In fact, even after killing all those drones, 41 drones against 36 SCVs, SjoW, I mean, he's starting a comeback, but JulyZerg on 3 base with that gold is going to be absolutely fearsome.
Well, JulyZerg is very good at recovering from things. I think SjoW is actually a very intelligent player, but he's not executing everything right. He does have more Banshees, but of course, one thing about Banshees is they generally require the element of surprise when using them.
You know what's kind of interesting, Tasteless? He is making some more queens, but he has no creep connecting anything. These Banshees might be able to take out the gold base if they go straight to it. And they are going right up there. Of course, the queens can't get over there. He does have a layer, so he could lay creep even with the overlords, but as is, SjoW going to do a lot of damage to these Banshees, a lot of spores going up. How many drones can he kill?
Let's see here. He does get a lot of kills off on him. Banshees looping around back over here. And I have to say, even though he got, there was a bit of a hiccup in his Banshee production because he forgot that one. Oh my God.
4 Banshees, Tasteless. That is a lot of damage.
Even though he forgot that one, rather supply depot, he's still doing a ton of damage. It's a pretty impressive feat here.
Oh, wow. And July getting sloppy, losing a queen for absolutely nothing. And in fact, Baneling's speed not quite done yet.
And I bet he wish he kept that second Baneling nest he had accidentally made because he has now lost that. And SjoW putting up a pretty good fight here.
Yeah, man. He is building a comeback. 43 SCVs against 46 drones. And is SjoW going to expand again? Yes, he is. He's getting Siege Tanks, Marines, Medevacs. Everything's starting to look really good for SjoW. And wow, I mean, to get a comeback of this caliber after having Banelings in your base, Zerglings in your base getting way behind, SjoW is really showing his intelligence.
Take a look at this push by SjoW. SjoW is committed. He knows the gold base is worth too much. He has to do something to destroy the Zerg expansion, or else things are going to get out of hand, especially against somebody like JulyZerg positioning the Banshees here so the Roaches will run into them as he sieges up the Siege Tanks. The stim is about to finish.
And with those Siege Tanks there, it's going to be pretty hard for JulyZerg. Remember, Baneling's speed did not finish. He's got a ton of Zerglings coming, but look at that. The Roaches coming up, getting those Siege Tanks, and that is so, so important. It looks like SjoW in a little bit of trouble, may lose these units, but the Banshees actually adding so much damage that SjoW defeats the army of JulyZerg.
I think JulyZerg is probably scratching his head saying, what's going on here? I thought I got into your base with Banelings and crippled you pretty badly, and of course there was that stifling of your Banshee production, but I don't know if this is good at all for, looking good at all for JulyZerg.
No, I would say not. And July with trying to counterattack there on SjoW, but
GG.
That's
JulyZerg taps out.
Amazing comeback from SjoW.
The biggest upset I'd cast it at least down here.
I got to tell you, man, his brain is good, okay? He looked at it, he's like, I'm behind. What's something I can do to come back? Oh, I'll make 4 Banshees. And that he did so much with those Banshees. That's why he won that last battle. Those Banshees aren't floating there. He loses that battle.
It was interesting because we don't normally see that response. 2 being crippled early on, and I think that's something other players should employ more often.
Yeah.
If a Zerg gets ahead, oftentimes they're going to try to expand again. So anyways, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here at the MLG. I'll see you soon. And we're back. We just finished game number 1 with JulyZerg against SjoW, and I did not expect not only for that result, but for the game to look like it did.
No, I did not expect first thing. I thought JulyZerg was just going to go ahed and win when he got those Zerglings in. He did so much damage, but SjoW abusing the fact that JulyZerg did not have a lot of queens, did not have a lot of anti-air, and had a very poor creep spread, aka no creep spread.
That was one of the few games I saw where actually the strategy won over the execution. Despite the execution being poor, a little bit sloppy. I think even SjoW himself would admit that. In that case, it caught JulyZerg so off guard, and he just was not prepared to deal with it.
Excuse me. No, not prepared.
Little guy, you got a little cough there. So we got a cough button. You guys aren't supposed to hear that. All right, we're waiting for the players to invite us into the game because we're a little lonely out here in the BattleNet lobby, but hopefully they'll do that soon. Are you guys having a good MLG?
I think that's a yes, Tasteless.
I think that's for yes. So, okay, we're being invited. Thought maybe we weren't cool enough to see the game. Okay, so in a few moments here, after we get confirmation from the players that they are ready and okay with us starting the game, we will go ahead and do that. And are we ready?
We are ready, Tasteless.
Yep, we're ready, so we can tell them to start. Guys, make some more noise here for JoWzerg against SjoW. Perhaps JoWzerg, the legend, will be eliminated. Well, not eliminated, but
hurt.
2-0'd, hurt. His ego damaged by this amazing player. So the game is loading. Let's get this going.
And here we are. As the red Terran in the bottom left of Tal'Daram Altar, it is Dignitas SjoW.
You are so good. Why do we have those voices at GOM anyways?
I know, right?
And now over here, Artosis.
We have in the top right, it is the blue Zerg. I think, is that blue or purple, Tasteless?
Purple, I think.
That's purple? Well, the creep is, that's a grayish purple, but anyways.
I don't have my Crayola box.
The golden mouse winner, the runner-up in GSL, the god of war. JoWzerg. Of course, from the team Startail.
Yep,
an
great
excellent
team. So this map is huge. It's one of the biggest StarCraft 2 maps that we allow in competitive gaming here. It's pretty big.
That we allow. Tasteless does not allow bigger maps.
No. My word is the law. No, but seriously, it's a great map. It's big. There's a lot of mid-game timing pushes you can execute on a map like this. And interestingly enough, we have a refinery being taken before the barracks, which will be placed over here.
And it looks like this will probably be a Hellion pressure build. You know, a lot of Terrans do like that on this map, to just get those very fast Hellions and try the pressure. We did see a Dignitas teammate of SjoW's, Select, do something very similar against Hydra yesterday.
Next will be the orbital. At distances this far, generally speaking, early aggression is not a favorable thing. Even though it's, of course, a little bit more unpredictable, you know, the rate at which it actually has any success is pretty low.
Quite true, Tasteless. We do have JoWzerg following up, as we see on the production tab, with gas and a pool. Going to get that quick speed out once again. He does love Zergling speed, and that's going to help him in combating the Vultures, or the Hellions a little bit.
Now, I have to say, I think JoWzerg was probably going to play a little bit better this game. I think he was somewhat caught off guard by the brilliant decision by SjoW to go for the double starport, which was sort of an all-or-nothing situation. You know, had JoWzerg sensed that coming or scouted that even, the game would probably look quite differently. But, you know, one thing about Banshees is you need time to prepare.
Yeah, and one thing I'd like to point out, Tasteless, is that SjoW has not scouted yet. And in fact, he did not even make a wall in. So if JoWzerg had gone for something like an early pool, SjoW would have died. So a little bit risky, but it's keeping his economy up quite strongly. He's going to be able to get a little bit quicker command center, get those Hellions out, get them harassing ASAP. So
we see JoWzerg continuing to crank out drones. This is a very good strategy, which is being employed here by SjoW. Remember, we saw this refinery taken very early. Normally, you're not supposed to be able to have a factory as well as a reactor that quickly here. And, you know, from here, it's going to be one of these situations where JoWzerg, he doesn't know it's coming yet, but he's going to have to respond perfectly. He's already lost once due to SjoW using somewhat irregular strategies where you get certain numbers of specific units too quickly and you can't respond in time. Let's see if that's going to be the case here.
And Jalizerk, as we just saw, well, he sees the Hellions now, but as we saw before, he laid his creep tumor right there at the front of his natural. Now, some Zergs, like Hydra, lay it in the main so that they can connect the creep, but he did not. So that might be an area of contention.
But here's something funny is, remember, he doesn't even know the starting location of July because for some reason SjoW opts not to scout. I assume he wants to use that additional SCV to get extra minerals. But this, of course, also ruins somewhat of the element of surprise when trying to do a strategy such as this one.
Gets there a little bit slower. That spine crawler almost done. The Zerglings helping to chase out the Hellions with those queens. And in fact, a lot of damage being done to these Hellions. And here they go, but the speed is done, Tasteless, and it looks like these Hellions are going to be toast.
Nice trapping there. Those Hellions essentially going to waste. Only a few kills there, on those Zerglings, which is fairly insignificant. Meanwhile, SjoW trying to expand, but what on earth is going to defend this expansion? The Zerglings rapidly moving down to the bottom left side of the map. It's not clear if SjoW is going to be prepared. Even if the Hellions come out, and notice you can see SjoW not even entirely sure if this is going to work, makes a bunker. Perhaps he was hoping for the command center to finish so he could at least lift it, but no. Denied by Jalizerk. Takes out the SCV. Can he control these Hellions well enough?
Oh, nice juke and jive there by SjoW, and he's going, beautiful micro, holds those Zerglings, and thus does not have to cancel the command center. Very clutch.
Yeah, had he lost the Hellions, the command center would have been, canceled, not destroyed. By the way, Banshee here in this. But, of course, that would have delayed when he would have that expansion.
Now we're seeing, once again, Banshee, Hellion move out. This is something that we saw Select do before, maybe a Dignitas team build. And we'll see if Jalizerk really knows how to handle it. Hydro certainly did. But here come the Hellions taking out that first creep tumor. That is actually really good against Jalizerk. Sometimes he only uses one creep tumor all game.
Well,
so that might be the end of that.
He's so hungry to larva inject, as we see. Whoop, Banshee is out now. And note, Jalizerk is expanding to a location that has not been checked yet by SjoW.
That is quite right, Tasteless. A nice third base going up, but right now we're going to see a lot of harassment here. He does have those Hellions to help kill the Queens, but they have a lot of energy because he never lays creep tumors, so he can use transfusion, and he could have transfused there easily.
Missed control there.
Yeah, Jalizerk does not like Queen spells, Tasteless.
Okay, these Hellions need to not just give up on life right now. As you can see, all right.
Those are like the people that didn't leave their homes at Mount St. Helens, Tasteless.
They ran out of gas.
I live here.
That was inexplicable. That whole hold position thing. I think SjoW is a bit distracted.
And look at that, making a little creep highway right now,
nice.
Tasteless.
I like it. He needs to get the creep to continue to expand along the map. It's a big map. Any creep you can have anywhere is going to allow your Zerglings, Roaches, Hydralisks to move that much quicker.
The Spire is about halfway done. The Banshee coming into the back of the base, but there is a Spore Crawler going up.
Looks like it's going to finish just in time.
Yeah, that Banshee won't do too much damage. Taking out one drone. Going to be a little bit annoying, but it's already taken some hits, so the Queen can take it out.
And no, he does not have a cloak here, so he probably will just go ahead and retreat at this moment. But take a look here. This Banshee may actually cross the path of this expansion over here, and that might lead to some more kills on those drones as well.
Certainly it may, Tasteless. We do have a Spore Crawler there, though, and a Queen as well. Going to turn that Banshee around and kill some of those Lings. In the meantime, back at home, SjoW is making a lot of barracks units, making some Siege Shanks, making some Medevacs. A very standard army coming out for SjoW.
I like this usage of the Banshee here to guard the rocks, which block off this expansion. It's pretty smart. Anything to get Jalizerk a little bit more behind. One thing I like about SjoW is you can already see he's actually quite a brilliant player, but he has these sloppy moments, for instance, the Hellion disaster that occurred over here.
Now we do have some mutas hatching out, Tasteless. He has about 9 mutas to go around and start harassing with. And at the same time, he is droning like a madman, up to 65 drones already against just 41 SCVs. So a stronger economy for Jalizerk, and these mutas are going to make SjoW be in a kind of hard spot. He doesn't have any missile turrets yet.
Destructible rocks are going to be taken out here. The turrets are on the way, but they might be just a few seconds late. No turrets inside the main base.
Yeah, he's going to want to fix that ASAP. Jalizerg, renowned for Mutalist Harass in StarCraft 1 and now StarCraft 2 as well. Here he comes, and hitting before that turret finishes. Might be able to take out the mules as well. That's going to be very annoying for SjoW, losing 2 mules and not completing that missile turret.
Luckily for him, he didn't get as many SCVs as I expected Jalizerg to kill off. He's playing very safe right now. I think Jalizerg realizes he's supposed to be beating this player. I think everybody else expected him to, yet he's already down 1 game. He doesn't want to make too many more mistakes, or really realistically, any more mistakes. By the way, Hatchery coming up over here as Jalizerg continues to consume the map.
Yeah, the 4th base, while SjoW is still stuck on 2, and that is the area where it becomes too hard. Here we go with more Mutalist Harassment. Only 1 missile turret in the main base so far. Killing off a few SCVs here. And that's basically all he has to do with the Mutas. Just keep on harassing, and keep SjoW in his base so that he can have the entire map covered with creep, expansions, Zerglings, everything.
SjoW may gear up for a 2-base push. Occasionally we see players siege up over here where the Hellion disaster was and start to fire on this hatchery, but it's a long walk. And with the Mutalisks out now, the Mutalisks may be able to attack the less defended parts of the main base. 2 turrets might not be enough for this many Mutalisks.
Yeah, that is a lot of Mutalisks. Tasteless going in, killing the missile turret, and going after these SCVs he wants to repair. But even repairing that, the splash damage will kill so many SCVs. Even the turret does go down. And SjoW, I think...
Frozen right now, trying to just save his SCVs. His army has stopped moving. Looks like SjoW's decided he either needs to kill him now.
Man.
He's already taking too much damage. Zergling's now spilling in to the unprotected expansion.
And SjoW is just, he turned around, Tasteless. That's going to be it, man. You cannot turn around.
You got to
commit.
commit.
Too indecisive.
Very, very much so, Artosis. Well said. And I think that actually may be the death blow here. This orbital will be picked off with only 100 HP. Goodbye. And now the Zerglings spill into the main base where there's only 1 SCV.
Yeah, there's 6 SCVs total against 62 drones, 58 supply against 159. Tasteless. SjoW is pretty dead at this point. 1 base against 4.
But, you know, SjoW did give a good showing. No pun intended there. He did do a great job, in this so far. So we're going to go to a 3rd game here, unless, a miracle occurs and somehow Jalizerg manages to lose all 4 of his bases and all of his
it's
grossly oversized
right now
army.
it's actually 29 Mutas with +1 attack against 29 Marines with no upgrades. Guess who wins that battle?
The Mutas?
No, actually it's the Marines.
No,
I'm joking. I'm pulling your leg.
Stop it, Artosis. So, okay, this is going to be the end here.
Here come the
Zerg
Mutas.
closes in.
And a billion Zerglings as well. So SjoW will be GGing just in a second.
GG.
There we go.
Well played.
Tied up 1-1. SjoW against Jalizerg.
Much better showing there from Jalizerg. I think you could really feel the difference there with Jalizerg's play. It's a bit peculiar. SjoW is not scouting. Jalizerg kind of playing like he normally does.
Yeah.
Counter-attacking a lot.
The early Hellion harass really didn't do anything. Rushing to those 4 Hellions, you give up a lot of economy by getting your gas first. That's less time mining with SCVs. And then he spends all the money to tech up, get 4 Hellions, go in, and he does nothing with them. Got pretty far behind there. The Banshee came out, got pretty far behind because he didn't really kill too much with it. And Jalizerg just kind of took the map. He's like, well, you've tried a lot, nothing's worked, and I'm going to take the map and start Mutalist harassment.
Now, again, I want to emphasize this because I'm really curious about what you think with this approach to the game. SjoW is not scouting. He's just not scouting, which I can't emphasize enough, it just doesn't actually occur ever. I mean, people normally scout, at least after the depot or barracks, but he's not doing it.
Well, as you said, he went up to the wrong side with the Hellions. He could have been quicker to get over to Jalizerg with the Hellions. Would it have made a difference in this scenario? No, probably not. It is a little bit risky to not scout, but that's the way SjoW does it. He has his own style. And I mean, this guy's won a lot of tournaments, Tasteless.
He's very good. I mean, a win is a win. All right, guys, make some noise for game number 2. SjoW against Jalizerg here at the MLG. The game is loading. Let's do this.
Who's this guy, Tasteless?
It's SjoW.
That was epic, man. Thank
Epic
you.
intro here.
Who's that guy?
It's July.
Oh, all right.
Jalizerg.
All right. Probably nothing special
Named
about
after
him.
a month. So, this is an interesting map. These spots are pretty close by air. This used to be a map where there were destructible rocks here where this Overlord is floating over. And if you follow that path over here, you'd see there would be destructible rocks here.
After time, those rocks solidified and no longer destructible.
As time passed on the map. No, but it was a problem because Terrence could just push through here and kill the Zerg's main.
Yeah, it was a hard map before, but it's a really good map nowadays. So
yeah, it really is.
I think it's a good choice for this next match. And I'm really excited to see what SjoW does with it. If this is the map that he wants to play, does he have like a timing push? Does he want to play a macro game? I'm not sure.
So, moving on in this game, how is Jelizer going to play this? You know, he does do his all-ins. He does do, all sorts of crazy stuff. He can macro. He's sort of a jack of all trade, if you will. So, it's going to be one of these situations where I feel like I know that SjoW is probably not going to scout. Maybe I'm wrong, but what is Jelizer going to do to deliver?
I think that what we are about to see, Tasteless, is in fact a double barracks build, but maybe not. He has not sent out another SCV yet. It should be arriving right about now. Notice his minerals right up at the amount that you need for a second barracks, and 2 barracks pressure is really great on this map, so maybe just a 1 barracks expansion. That's kind of interesting because we don't normally see that. In the meantime, well, at least on this map, in the meantime, we do have a hatchery building for Jelizer. No pool quite yet, still making a few drones. Probably will get his gas quite quickly as well.
Spawning pool on the way now for Jelizer. And, SjoW, he's a smart guy. He's got a lot of different strategies that have some surprise. Not as much with scouting, but, with the way he picks what units he's going to bring in, in the phase of the game. Jelizer, this may be one of the few games where Jelizer is going to have to react to his opponent more than his opponent reacting to him.
That is quite right. And look at this. He is going with the bunker. This is just kind of to draw drones down, make them lose some mining time. Of course, canceling that bunker will just make him lose 25 minerals, which is fine. These drones losing much more than 25 to come down here in battle.
And this is smart because even though this isn't like a rush that SjoW is committing to, as you said, yeah, these are drones that are not mining. He can just cancel this. It's a good move.
It is indeed. Now dropping a command center is SjoW. No gases yet. Just going to go ahead and go for an economy game. Now, will he work up? Ooh, double gas.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to tech up. I can't wait to see into what. I would love to see him try some sort of weird Banshee build again. That worked very well in July, and that's something that he's not normally that ready for. July loves his ground units early on, going mutas a little bit later normally.
Well, when you're doing a build like this, you want to make sure this whole area is walled up, especially against somebody like Jelizer, who I swear to God, you Baneling busts at least once in every best of 3.
It seems
no matter
that way.
what matchup it is, he'll do 1 base or 2 base Baneling.
Well, we see he's starting to spread that creep once again. No creep in between the main and natural, so that would make Banshees pretty good in this scenario as well.
I don't think we ever see Jelizer actually get creep in between his 2 bases.
He does not creep much, actually. He is one of the Zergs that really ignores that, and I hesitate to say he's bad at creeping, but he's bad at creeping, man.
Well, I mean, you can compare this guy to somebody like Nesty, and you do see a difference, at least when it comes to spreading the creep.
Yeah, quite true there. Well, we do have the factory going up for our Terran player, Tasteless. And just 1 factory. So will he tech into siege tanks, or will we see a starport?
I am going to bet, at least at this point in time, it's going to be a Marine siege tank push.
Yeah.
He is going to need a tech lab. Do we have a starport anywhere? Generally, if they're going to swap the starport with the factory at the add-on, we'd see it put right next to that.
And SjoW is actually going to turtle up a little bit. Look at this, a bunker behind 3 barracks. He realizes that, hey man, Jelizer is crazy. He might actually come up here with 20 Banelings and try to bust through here. I better have a bunker.
Now we have another extractor. Actually, every other extractor is going to be taken. And a Baneling nest once again being created. Back here at the factory, we see he's actually going to go for Blue Flame Hellions. And that's going to be pretty strong against a player who's going to open up with Banelings in this case.
Combat shields as well. You have to wonder, is he going to try one of these little timing attacks? We've seen Marine King and some other Terrans do. I believe so, Tasteless. This is a great map for it because of that small choke into the expansion of Zerg. You actually get up there with some Blue Flame Hellions and a bunch of Marines, and then suddenly the Zerg has no surface area to actually destroy you. And
he can follow that up with a Spire here, July will. So this means he might only get the Banelings for defensive purposes. He's not going to go like any kind of, for instance, Keurig style, what we've seen at the GSL.
No,
but you know, the problem is, if he does go for a bunch of Hellions and this attack is unsuccessful, well, with Banelings in the game, you have to get siege tanks. But if you're getting siege tanks, that means you can't get a Thor to deal with the Mutalisks that would be made once the Spire is complete.
Well, right now, July Zerg scouting out the main base of SjoW with that Overseer. He does see the factory. I do not believe he actually saw a Hellion pop out of it, though, so he probably thinks Siege Tank right now, and also saw the third command center of SjoW going up. So this is turning into something really cool. It looks like it's going to be a pretty heavy pressure build into a third base.
Uh-oh! Cornered the Hellions.
Oh no, July's are catching those Blue Flame Hellions, and now the Marines as well. More Marines coming up. No stim, though, only combat shields. Does chase the Zerglings away, but those Zerglings were worth their weight in gold. Those Blue Flame Hellions were really the punch that this little harassment was packing.
Well, the whole point of getting the combat shields is so that the Marines can absorb damage while the Hellions deal it. And I can't believe my eyes. SjoW is actually going to continue to push out.
Well, he's going for another base up here that July Zerg is trying to make. He wants to get his third up before July Zerg. And he may get his wish. We'll see, though. More Zerglings coming down. 6
Mutalisks on the way as well. Any Marines he softens up are going to be pretty bad when those Mutalisks finally hatch.
Quite true, but he does take out all these Zerglings. More Zerglings on the way. That Blue Flame Hellion doing insane amounts of damage. But without the Marines there, that hatchery is going to be safe, even if all the Zerglings die.
One more Hellion left. He's continuing to run. Actually, he just gives up on it. And meanwhile, the Mutalisks are heading towards the Terran's base. One turret here, a second one on the way, but large parts of SjoW's base essentially undefended.
That is quite true. Going after this supply depot now. SjoW, in the meantime, sending some Marines up and expanding. If those mutas don't go down there and those turrets finish, that base will be pretty safe for a little bit. In fact, he's making a planetary. I really like this style that SjoW is showing us.
July Zerg, a pretty ballsy move, just cuts right into the main. He wants to stay over the barracks so we can kill some Marines as they pop out, but probably somewhat unaware that there were more Marines on the way here.
July Zerg doing really well droning, has 58 drones against the 47 SCVs, and right now just getting a lot of upgrades, making a ton of Zerglings and Mutas, but SjoW is really well defended. You know, he has a bunker at his natural. He has that third base super quick. And one thing I've noticed is that SjoW has not gone beyond his first 2 gases yet. He's really staying quite Marine heavy, quite mineral heavy, and that's what's allowed him to actually get these turrets out, to get the planetary out, and to actually get his economy way ahead of July Zerg's.
More Mutas grouping together, a ton more Zerglings. And I got to say, July Zerg's doing a better job of pushing the creep. Not quite as good as an ST, but you know, July Zerg has his own skill sets, his ability to harass, to read his opponent, to get inside of his opponent's head. And you know, if SjoW doesn't get an additional base up and running, not just an extra orbital up and running, but in an extra expansion here, preferably here, July Zerg can probably expand again. It could be pretty bad.
Yeah, you know, he is taking that 4th base. SjoW, though, it looks like he's going to get ready for a timing. He is making his starport. He's getting that reactor on it. He's going 2 factories for siege tanks. And once he has a healthy number of siege tanks, I do think we're going to see quite a strong push from SjoW. But he is behind supply-wise, 131 to 97.
Supply blocked, actually. That's not going to be good for him. Meanwhile, you know, this... Oh, excuse me here. We have a harassment attack over here. July Zerg continuing to prod away at his opponent. If he gets his eBay, that'd be huge. That's upgrading armor here. It's in the red. Nice save by SjoW.
Yep, has to save that. And July Zerg just going to take out these Marines. SjoW thinking that he can chase those away and going after the depots and engineering bay once again. A very nice harassment from July Zerg. This is a huge pain for SjoW.
Mutalisks moving out now over the water. SjoW, again, though, pretty well defended here. And I think what you said earlier is correct, Artosis. We could see a pretty scary push coming here from this guy. if he manages to get this far along and mass up that much. July's are going to head with supply, but a few siege tank shots on these banelings here, and that could change everything.
That is quite true. Another base is going up for July Zerg as well. If you look on the mini-map, right there.
Right there.
Yeah, thank you, Tasteless.
No problem.
And just a baneling speed on the way, a bunch of banelings, +2 melee, +2 attack on mutas as well, and he is just making so many units right now. I think July Zerg is about to switch over into that mode that he gets into where he never stops attacking you.
Yeah, I think he might start hammering away, potentially at this base, or he may wait for his opponent to take the 4th.
Well, we will see the mutas flying up now towards that natural expansion. Only a couple turrets there, so he can probably take those out very quickly if he chooses to.
Opting against doing so now, probably going to go back in here. This engineering base, somewhat of a focal point here for July Zerg. He's doing a lot of upgrades, as you can see over here on the production tab, and he wants to make sure his opponent is not doing that, but Terran is now moving out.
Oh no, the Zerglings surrounding a lot of the Marines. The Marines trying to get back to the siege tank line, and a lot of them look like they will go down. Slow banelings making their way in.
And I don't know if July should have gone all the way in there with the banelings. Meanwhile, the mutas continuing to harass over here. And this is something that happens with July Zerg, is eventually he just turns something on and he doesn't stop attacking. He just keeps hammering away at his opponent. And I don't know if SjoW is entirely equipped to deal with a Korean professional gamer who approaches the game like this as well as July Zerg does.
Indeed, Tasteless. The mutas drawing Marines back in. In the meantime, July Zerg making more mutas, more Zerglings, more banelings, just getting everything going. And SjoW may be stretched a little bit too thin here.
Indeed, Artosis. We see more and more banelings grouping up now. SjoW, this location over here, it's not very easy for Terran to take. This location can be easy, but Zerg can also get easy access to it here. So SjoW has to make a decision as July Zerg continues to consume the map. Where is he going to step out to and try to claim as his own?
Well, right now, SjoW is making a couple Thors, getting that +1 attack as well. Looks like he's going to rely upon his mech units a lot. A lot of banelings coming out. July Zerg is maxed, and well, if the switch hasn't been hit in his head when he maxes, that's when it goes Tasteless. He is going to start attacking and just rally units over any moment now.
It looks like the Terran at the same time. SjoW, hold that thought, counterattack
There he
here.
goes, a ton of units. SjoW spread way too thin, a ton of siege tanks on the other side, just going nowhere. The Mutaslings and Banes taking out some Thors, and July Zerg looking like he's doing a lot of damage, but SjoW actually may end up holding this.
SjoW does hold. Meanwhile, July Zerg continuing to reproduce more and more Zerglings, 20 more Zerglings on the way. This location has more than enough drones right now. July Zerg's economy doing quite well right now. But SjoW might want to counterattack if he can pull it off. If there's not, hold that thought.
A lot of mutas coming in here and taking a ton of damage chases. There are turrets all over the place, and he does not want to lose too many mutas because SjoW has still a pretty reasonable economy. He's going to take another base, and these mutas really not doing the type of damage that July Zerg wants.
Meanwhile, July Zerg rallying more units down here. Now, check out the supplies here. It's 120 against, or almost 130 against 150. That is not a big distance. Considering when July Zerg was maxed out and SjoW is at about 130. But as I say that, July Zerg continues to grow his army size. Hold that thought. Expansion over here. Meanwhile, Zerglings attacking everywhere. This is what's so difficult about fighting against July Zerg, is he can tax you endlessly at this point in time, and SjoW's going to have to hang on for the ride.
And he moves those mutas in. Some get caught on the command center, but he will clean up these Marines and then those siege tanks. July Zerg just eking through right there and keeping his supply up on the top. 143 to 103.
A planetary is on the way. July Zerg needs to destroy this planetary before it finishes. It doesn't look like he can. Instead, he opts to counterattack over here to a place perhaps less defended.
And this non-stop aggression of July Zerg. SjoW is having a real difficult time with the Tasteless. A ton of Zerglings. Look, they're going to pile into the main base. Only one siege tank there to defend.
Now, SjoW is going to have to move some of his forces over here. He's getting spread a little bit too thin. July Zerg may opt to then attack the planetary later on.
You know, even though SjoW's army is still pretty good.
Oh my God, he lost that.
Well, he has almost no SCVs anyways, Tasteless. Only 19 SCVs against the 71 drones of July Zerg. And it looks like this never-ending assault is going to bring SjoW to an end.
Yeah, this is the difficult part about facing July. It's so hard to defend and focus and concentrate for this amount of time. I'm really impressed with July Zerg's play here. It's just like what we see at the GSL.
And the Marines being taken out. More Marines coming in. Has to run away with those mutas, but again, more and more Zerglings on the way.
And streaming in here, he has more mutas coming in, wiping out the rest of these Marines. And, you know, this is just such a difficult thing for SjoW to deal with. This expansion is really SjoW's only hope. He does have a Thor and a Planetary Fortress. Those really complement each other.
Yes, they quite do, Tasteless.
But it looks like he may actually gear up for everything to attack that location there soon as well.
You know, SjoW, if he hadn't lost so many SCVs, if he hadn't lost that natural orbital, he would still be in okay shape here. You know, he's being pretty cost-effective overall. SjoW is just non-stop attacking, losing a ton of expensive mutas all game. SjoW, can he actually make a comeback? He still has a good amount of supply. He's producing 3 SCVs at a time, but SjoW just never-ending rallies of Zerglings, Banelings, and mutas all over the map.
You know, in one way, at least he doesn't have to try to defend this location. Less significant buildings are now down there instead of just the orbital. It looks like SjoW has enough siege tanks. He's going to try to gear up and perhaps push SjoW out of this rally point location that he has set up here. He needs to siege up though in time. SjoW, I think, a little bit caught off guard by seeing this army here.
And those Thors were both in the red, so they go out ever so quickly, and SjoW just cleaning up. SjoW's only chance there was to turtle a little bit longer, but SjoW is going to go ahead and eliminate this army. That's going to bring SjoW down to just 68 supply against 144. You know, that was actually a crucial mistake from SjoW. SjoW never turns off the aggression once he starts like that. So SjoW's best chance was to just defend, and get some upgrades.
Well, there's such a sparse number of SCVs here left in this, and an even smaller number of actually defending units. The only other things SjoW has is 17 Marines. That's literally it. And that is probably going to be GG here, as the Zerg can now occupy the production facilities and wipe out any fragile Terran unit that pops after. GG.
SjoW with yet another victory, taking out the Swedish superstar SjoW.
Give it up for SjoW. He managed to make a comeback there after losing that first game, and what was pretty impressive from SjoW. He is still the king right now. That guy's pretty good.
He's a god of war, man. When he starts attacking, you have to defend. You have to defend so badly, Tasteless.
It's pretty scary.
And by badly, I mean goodly.
I feel like I'm in like a war film when I see that that action pick up, because it goes on for what feels like hours of just him hammering away, and I can't emphasize enough how difficult that is to stop in Starcraft when you're playing against somebody who's that talented.
You know, SjoW almost stabilized. We have to hand it to him. He was actually defending really well there for a while, and it's very hard because there are units everywhere. Siege tanks and Thors, not the most mobile units. Your Marines get too far away, then suddenly they get sniped. SjoW really knows how to pick apart armies. So SjoW almost did it, man. He really, truly almost did. If he had sat all those units around the planetary for a while, gotten some more units, repaired everything, got some more upgrades, I don't know if SjoW would have actually ended up winning that game. That was actually, I think, a lot closer than it looked.
It was a very good game. I'm really impressed. All right, that does it, guys. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be back with an interview with SjoW, so don't go too far away here at the MLG.